Hi, and welcome to another episode of Unscripted on the Sofa with Mark and
Flavio. Hello, welcome.
Hi. Thanks for tuning in. And the first thing is, halfway through, if you like it, just hit that subscribe button or the thumbs up. It really does help us. And today we're going to be talking about set yourself a challenge as a street photographer. And just to dive straight into this, and what do you think some challenges are if you're a street photographer and you're new to this genre that you should be kind of looking for?
I think the main thing is that setting yourself a challenge is a way to get out of your comfort zone and try to acquire new skills, acquire new abilities that will allow you to get better at your craft. It's as simple as that.
Sure.
But the skills can be the skill of being able to shoot in front of people instead of behind them, or it can just be a skill with your camera. It can be a technique. It can be just different kinds of things. The important thing is get out of your comfort zone, challenge yourself to learn that new skill and make it yours.
So just for the ease of the video, let's just pick 5 easy challenges to set people so that you can go out and practice those things.
Yeah.
And then they can come back and let us know how they got on.
Yeah.
So what would you think? Let's think. What's our top challenge for someone?
Well, I think one thing that is very often also a question that we get during the courses when we teach what's the right gear, what we need to go buy, what we need to use, etc. In reality, gear is relatively unimportant. Just get one camera, one lens, preferably a prime lens, and that is your challenge. Get out and shoot only with that camera and that lens.
I think that's a great.
Choose that one.
I think it's a great starting point, and that lens can be anything you like. I mean, you can go out with a 28mm, but if you're just beginning your journey as a street photographer, don't be afraid to go out with a 50mm or an 85mm lens to get yourself in that comfort zone. Don't go super wide if you're afraid to go and confront people,
because you will have to get very close with a wider angle. Yeah.
Whereas with an 85, you can stay back and you can kind of think, well, I'll do some nice pictures of people, and just get your confidence.
Yeah.
But take the pictures from the front and show the nose. Our big phrase.
Absolutely, show the nose. And the idea is, when you start learning that focal length, the second focal length, you won't have to put it to your eye to know what's going to fit in. And that is one of the big things that will help in using just single focal length.
I think another challenge, so challenge number 2 is surprise yourself and set yourself a challenge, and I call it the 10 people, 10 no's challenge, and ask 10 people if you can photograph them, or you can take their portrait on the street in an environmental way, so include something of the background in. And it's a challenge I often set on the course, and because people say they're afraid, or people will say no, or they don't like having their picture taken. But I think you'd be surprised if you actually go up to someone and just compliment them, or say, can I take your picture please? And you are going to get the odd no, but you'll be surprised you'll get a lot of yeses. Yeah. Especially if you go in there with a smile on your face, or you go in defensively and not aggressively, and talk to them and just say, I just love what you're wearing, or I love your hair, or if there's a guy, that's an amazing beard you've got, and can I take your picture please?
Yeah. And
you'd be surprised. I always say to people, go out, and when you've got 10 people saying no, stop.
Yeah.
And I don't know anyone who's got to 10 no's yet on any of my courses.
Yeah.
So, try that challenge.
At the end of the day, it's so incredible how most everybody will tell you yes. As long as you are sincere in what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And you just don't rock up to them and say, can you please take your picture? It's just, it's not working. It's just be confident and smile. That's it.
So what's your next challenge?
I would say probably a good challenge would be a lot of people, a lot of photographers we see a scene, see a background, see something, take a picture, done, let's go. Or see a street, they shoot on the street for 5 minutes and then street done, let's go.
So don't move.
Don't move.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just find yourself a scene, find yourself something that you like, or even just a little area, etc. Don't move, stay there, shoot there. keep on working the shots. I think that is one.
I think you don't literally have to stand to the spot. You can kind of just move around in a figure of 8. Having said that, I was doing a talk last night with on a street photography podcast, and someone said to me that, I can't remember the photographer, and I'll try and dig it out and put it in the links. It's like, try and blend into the background and just stay there and don't move, because you'll disappear.
Yeah.
But I tend to sort of move around, and I'm very aware of what's going on around me, but there might be something just to my left or just to my right, so I've got 2 or 3 little options, but the main one I've chosen, I'm going to stay there.
Yeah, it's almost like if you've chosen a nice scene, you can change your angle, you can change slightly your position, but work that area or the shot of the background and stay there.
I know I've told the story before, but the guy came on one of my courses, and he had a disability. He couldn't walk very far, and he was on sticks. And in fact, he actually turned up in a chair, and he said, "Oh, don't worry." He said, "Just I'm not going to hold anything else." He said, "Just deliver me, or just take me to where you're going to go, and come back and get me at the end of the day." And at the end of the week, he was away in India with us. So again, not very disabled friendly place. And at the end of the week, we just did a little challenge to look at everyone's photographs and just pick the best 10. We didn't go any further than that. And there were, I think, 7 or 8 people on the course. So we had 80 photographs, and then we whistled it down and down and down. And when we got down to the last 10, he had 7 of them.
Yeah.
And that's because he just stood still all day.
He didn't move.
And he was just there, and he put his arms on his crutches, and he was there, and when something happened, he just went click.
Yeah. And he just got the best shots.
Blended into the environment, yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
I think another one is selection of background.
Yeah.
And I think as a beginner, try and select a background that's relatively uncluttered. I think even whatever level you are, try and select a background that's uncluttered. There's not any bright highlights coming from the background, because you're kind of halfway there if you've got a good background, and then you just got to wait for the right people to sort of come into that background.
Absolutely, yeah.
And again, it's that waiting thing. So you are waiting for the right people to come in, but the background selection, go and choose the right background.
But even if you're doing a street portrait, or if you are trying to follow somebody to get them in a better background, just choose the background wisely. Is one of the major pitfalls with the street photography shots, I think.
And I think our last one we were going to talk about was the decisive moment.
Decisive moment.
Probably the most famous phrase used in street photography, after our sort of friend CartierBresson.
Absolutely.
Who, when you look at his work, you realise how far he was ahead of the game at his time.
Yes.
His work may not look, his work may look very ordinary today, a lot of it, but if you take it into context of when he was doing it, that guy was pushing the envelope.
He was 50 years ahead of everybody else.
Absolutely, yeah, so far. Incredible. And the equipment he was using, he was using
a very old Leica 2 or 3. So it was in. I don't know if you've ever seen look through the viewfinder. It's so tiny.
Horrible.
It's horrible.
Like
and a very slow 50mm lens.
That big, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tiny thing. Yeah. Slow 50mm lens.
Probably that if we looked at now, probably most of us would just discard it because it would be quite soft. And then slow film, probably 25 or 50 ISO film.
50 probably was fast at that time. Yeah.
And we think nothing of shooting 800, 1000 ISO now, and we got lenses that whatever make a camera you got, whether it be a Leica or a Zeiss or a Panasonic or a Fuji or whatever. Everything is good these days. It's the equipment isn't the issue. It's us and our eye and what we see with it. But excuse me. So choose a decisive moment or try and capture it. But what's your tip for doing that, Flavio?
I think the major thing is that you don't need to capture the corker of the year as a picture just to try to get yourself training in picking the decisive moment. You can even just be, as we mentioned before, sitting at the bar and seeing gestures and how people look at each other and interact, and try to to pick what the decisive moment would be, and just if you have the camera, shoot it at that time, or just say, click in your mind, I would have taken it now. Or you're seeing something happening, try to really pick the timing for the moment as it happens. It might not be your best shot, but training is very important. Like any other skill, you need to train. And this decisive moment is something you need to train. Or you could be your gait, as we mentioned before, with the feet that are slightly off the ground during the gait. Things like this, just those very, very peculiar moments that can make or break the image.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And I think the other thing is don't set your expectations too high.
No.
You know, if you go out on the street and you get one great image in the day, pat yourself on the back, because, you know, quite often when you're looking at, you know, great street photographers, you're seeing a body of work that they've taken over, you know, 4, 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And they might show you 20, 30 shots.
But even our CartierBresson, which is one of the most celebrated,
Yeah.
how many images do we know of him? 200?
I think
Probably.
probably, you know, on a couple of hands you can choose his iconic images.
Absolutely. And how long has he been working? How many shots has he shot?
Oh,
That's
thousands
normal.
and thousands, yeah. So, I think that's probably it. I hope you've enjoyed those little snippets, and look out, we'll certainly do some more very, very soon. But thanks for watching Unscripted on the Sofa. Please give us a big thumbs up, and subscribe as well as if you can. So once again, it's goodbye from Mark and
Flavio, goodbye.
thank you.